Hey there everybody, Jandor here, bringing you the third and final part in my International 4 Invitee Primer. Today we're going to be talking about the remaining 4 teams from Southeast Asia and China. So let's jump right into it, and we're going to start as always with the current TI4 prize pool. As of recording, we are up to $6,466,172 and counting. The biggest prize pool in esports history by a lot. Just a huge margin, and it's still going up. They have stretch goals out to $10 million now, folks. So if you haven't jumped on that compendium, if you're looking to level it up, you have a little bit of money to spend, you want to keep this hype train rolling, jump on it because it's going to be crazy, and I want to see how high this is going to go. And now that we're all excited, let's get into it. Let's talk about the invitees. As before, the player and team statistics are taken from Join Dota, Gosu Gamers, Wikipedia. I also pulled some stuff from the compendium itself this week. So we're going to start with Team DK, or DK. These gentlemen right here looking fierce. Their Join Dota team ranking second in the world. The roster: Team Captain Gile Burning Zoo. This gentleman right here. Following that, we have Chai Mushi Yi Feng. This gentleman right here, rocking the sweet green headphones. Daryl Ice Co. coming in next. Not the best picture in the world, but it's what we can find on the internets. Next in line, we have Ji Lan Cheng Zheng. This gentleman right here, smiling at the camera because he knows he's awesome. And finally on the team, Zheng MMY Ronglie. This gentleman right here letting out a roar of victory. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the individual team members, starting with Burning. His Join Dota rank is 6th. He is from China. He has 224 wins, 115 losses, giving him a win rate of 66%. He is the position 1 hard carry, and you can follow all of the members of Team DK sort of collectively on their team Twitter, which is at DKDota2. They don't seem to have the individual Twitter handles, but they do have the team one, so we'll leave that in the corner for you guys to keep an eye out. And we're going to take a look at the top tournament picks 2014 for Burning: the Gyrocopter, the Lifestealer, and the Luna. All 3 carries I really like. Gyrocopter's a lot of fun in an aggressive tri-lane. Lifestealer can jungle, but probably is better off in lane. It can be really devastating if he snowballs, very hard to kill. Luna's a personal favorite of mine. I like playing her, I like watching her. She rides a fucking cat, it's awesome. And she throws glaives at people, I mean, it's just badass. So any of these guys would be really fun to see Burning play during the International 4, and I'll be interested to see kind of how they choose to pick them up, how they lane them, who the lineups are, who they play them against, if they come up at all, because who knows, the meta might be totally different. Stuff's changing all the time, man, it's crazy. And then we got Mushi coming in at the position 2. He has a win rate of 64%. This is from 275 wins to 158 losses. His Join Dota rank 8th in the world. He is from Malaysia. Formerly from Team Orange, in fact. His top tournament picks: the OD, or Outworld Devourer, the Puck, and the Dragon Knight. OD is an excellent hero, very devastating mid lane hero, can be really powerful if he gets farmed, and is just, I think, there's a reason he's banned fairly reliably in competitive and the pub scene as well. The Puck, a personal favorite to watch. She's very elusive, can initiate, can get away, can be hard to kill, can get killed. It's just a really cool hero in general. And of course, I love the Dragon Knight. I like playing Dragon Knight. I like watching Dragon Knight. He can push down towers. He turns into a dragon and blows shit up. It's awesome. Next on the list, we have Ice coming in at the position 3 off laner. He is a Join Dota rank of 9th, 215 wins to 122 losses, gives him an overall win rate 64%. Ice is from Singapore. His top tournament picks in 2014 include the Clockwork, the Nature's Prophet, and the Timbersaw. All 3 very impactful offlane heroes in different ways. I personally love watching Timbersaw whenever he's picked up. If the enemy team doesn't have too much lockdown, that's going to totally shut the Timber down. The Timber's just going to run around, get chains, throw chakrams, and just be amazing. Totally wreck melee heroes and strength carries, and is a ton of fun. The Nature's Prophet, of course, the king of split pushing. And we have the Clockwork, who's great at creating space. Another hero that's a lot of fun to watch if he's being played well and in the right lineup. Just zipping around the map, getting hook shots everywhere, and making things happen. Letting that carry farm. Next, we have Lan. Jandor ranked 10th from China. 61% win rate, comes from 201 wins and 129 losses. Position 4 support on DK. His top tournament picks, the Naga Siren, the Enchantress, and the Chen. In this case, obviously, Naga Siren being played most likely as more of a support than the Arteezy sort of mid-carry split pusher role. Naga obviously being a pretty solid support. Song is great for initiating or counter-initiating. Riptide is good debuff and damage and helps push the lanes. I mean, overall, and then of course Net is great for catching heroes. So she's a very versatile hero. And honestly, before Arteezy sort of began popularizing that on EG and Sad Boys during some tournaments earlier this year, Naga was, back in around TI3, played primarily as a support hero. So, not surprising to see that picked for Lan in such a way. Enchantress and Chen, both great, running around the jungle, getting an army of creeps in and pushing down towers and making things happen. If you guys want to see some amusing Enchantress play, check out what 1437 did on his Enchantress during the grand final, Game 5 of the America qualifiers, where they were playing against Team Liquid. Most of you probably already know about what happened, but if you don't, check it out. It's pretty great. MMY. Jandor ranked 7th. Home country, China. He has 233 wins to 122 losses. This gives him a win rate of 66%. He is the position 5 hard support. And his top tournament picks, Visage, Io, and Rubik. 3 very different supports in a lot of respects, able to impact the game in different ways. And it's cool to see a player like MMY has that versatility and that range in terms of what kind of supports he's able to pick up and help carry the team, help win games for DK. And all of these are interesting heroes to watch. Io especially was first picked, first banned during TI3, and I'm not sure if the Wisp is still at that echelon or will be in this international. It hasn't seemed to be in the tournaments leading up to this point, but we will see. Certainly, Io can make things happen across the map, and the Visage and the Rubik obviously are devastating supports as well. So let's get into the team highlights. Formed in 2010, they were expected to be amazing. These guys are supposed to be like pinnacles of Chinese Dota, but they didn't have the best time early on. In fact, they were invited to TI1, so they obviously weren't doing dreadfully, but they couldn't make it due to roster and passport issues. Things were a bit topsy-turvy for a while until they kind of settled down toward the end of 2012. And then at that point, they began to do better, started getting wins, and then ended up going to the 3rd International in 2013, but they ended up taking 5th and 6th. All right, so right around the middle of the pack at TI3, which I think was less than they were hoping, and certainly perhaps even less than they were expecting. So with that came a restructure. Post TI3, DK totally changed up its roster. Only Burning remained on the team from the original lineup, and their current lineup, however, has been together since August of 2013. So right after the International 3, when they did this restructure, that team has been together since then. They haven't changed anything up in the intervening months, and they ended up taking first place at Star Ladder Season 9 recently. These guys came up, crushed their way through the ranks, and then in the finals didn't lose a single game. It was an absolute powerhouse showing, and it put them on the map in a big way across the world in a way that they hadn't necessarily been quite before then. And I think we can expect some pretty awesome things out of them at International 3. Taking a look at the performance graph to sort of solidify this, from July of last year through to April of this year, as is my way, we can see that the overall trend line seems to be pointing up for wins and down for losses. So this would indicate to me that their win rate has been increasing over time. These guys are getting better, taking better, maybe the restructuring really helped. As you guys can see, they weren't doing great in July. August they did okay. And then in September, they ended up sitting 4 wins and 0 losses, which is pretty respectable, but didn't play very many games because that was right after they'd restructured. And then boom, October, 20-7, 28-13 in November, 25-10 in December, 10-6 in January, 18-8 in March, 15-5 in April. These guys have been crushing it. It's been really cool to see. Their overall win-losses, however, we see is 227 wins to 116 losses. This makes Team DK have an overall win rate of 66%. Now, If we're going to take a look at the predictions here, they had a very strong showing, as we've talked about it. StarLadder Season 9. I think this has pushed DK to the top of everyone's sort of radars, kind of pinging all over the place. They're currently second place on Join Dota in the world, and they had a really amazing April. 75% win rate is crazy good. So I would say they are definitely contenders for top 3, if not a high contender to take the whole kit and caboodle. But let's take a look at Newbee now. Newbee is, well, a new team. These gentlemen right here, their Join Dota rank is 7th. Their roster: Team Captain Zhang Xiao 8 Ning. This gentleman right here, rocking the sweet thumbs up. Next up, we have Chen Hao Jihao. This gentleman right here in the absolutely dapper red glasses. Following that, we've got Zhang Mu Pan. This gentleman right here, whose hair looks a lot like mine right now. And next in line, we have Wang Banana Zhao. This gentleman right here. And rounding out the team, Wang Sensheng Zhaohui. This gentleman right here. So let's take a look at their individual statistics. Starting with Zhao 8, the team captain. His Join Dota rank is 27th. He is from China. He has 250 wins to 137 losses, giving him a win rate of 65%. He is the position 3 offlaner. His top tournament picks of 2014, the Dragon Knight, the Doom, the Nyx Assassin. Interesting heroes, all different and varied in like a couple of different ways. The Doom can be jungle, can be played into multiple lanes, gets a couple of items up, is very tanky, hard to kill, comes out and fights with the team. The Dragon Knight, great at pushing. The Nyx, great at roaming, ganking, creating space, getting that blink dagger for initiates and impales. All excellent heroes, all interesting heroes. Following that, we have Hao. Hao has a Join Dota rank of 20th. He is also from China. 207 wins to 129 losses gives him a win rate of 62%. He's a position 1 hard carry. And you can follow all of Team Newbee, because I forgot to mention that previously, on their team Twitter, which is at NewbeeDota2. Check it out down there. They don't have individual player Twitters, but they do have the team one, so check them out. And Hao, his top tournament picks, the Gyrocopter, the Weaver, and the Luna. You're going to see over the course of the next few teams that there is a lot of similar picks in the Chinese Southeast Asian scene. Hao here likes his Gyrocopter and his Luna. We've talked about them. And the Weaver, another excellent carry, good late game carry, very survivable, very escapable, can be played in an off lane, can be played mid, very versatile hero. And when he gets the right kinds of items up, can be very, very hard to put down and can deal a ton of damage very quickly. Next we have Mu. Mu has a Join Dota rank of 33rd. His home country is China. 181 wins to 142 losses. Gives him a win rate of 56%. He is their position 2, typically mid player. Top tournament picks for Mu: the Storm Spirit, the Dragon Knight, and the Alchemist. Storm Spirit is an interesting hero, lots of roaming and ganking potential, lots of ability to initiate from far distances, gets that Orchid up, can go ahead, silence, drop you, kill you, has a lot of solo kills. Overall, a very impactful hero in the right lineup and against the right heroes. Dragon Knight, similar sort of situation. We've talked about him before. The Alchemist is an interesting hero. We haven't talked a lot about Alchemist, I think, in this series. He was very popular in TI3, very popular as a hard carry. There was one game I remember where he went Greevil's Greed, maxed that, and got a Midas, and then just farmed and suddenly came out with like a million items and was just unkillable. He's since seen some nerfs and some changes up. People have been playing him as a support for a while, and now he's kind of, I think, in that interesting core lineup where you can play him sort of roaming and supporting early, and then when the Greevil's Greed kicks in, you can actually roam around with him and farm and get some of those core items up. He's a very versatile hero. I like him a lot. Next up, we have Banana. Banana's Join Dota rank is 13th. His home country is China. He has 178 wins to 100 losses, giving him a win rate of 64%. He is the position 4 support. You can find him on Twitter along with the rest of the teams, as I've mentioned before, at NewbeeDota2. And his top tournament picks 2014, the Crystal Maiden, the Enchantress, the Chen. Enchantress and Chen we've talked about. Crystal Maiden is a personal favorite of mine. She can deal a ton of damage. She's got good nukes. She's got lockdown. And her global aura gives mana regen to the whole team, which I think can't be underestimated. It's a very powerful ability. She's a lot of fun to watch, and I hope they pick her up at least once or twice in TI4. I like seeing my Crystal Maiden. San Sheng comes in next. He is 61st on Join Dota. Home country of China. 153 wins to 129 losses. Gives Sen Sheng a win rate of 54%. Respectable. He is the position 5 hard support. And his picks. Another Crystal Maiden. The Visage and the Rubik. So we can see that Newbee likes to pick the Crystal Maiden, and not only do they like to do it, but they have 2 heroes that are capable of playing her, depending on how they want a laner and where they want farm priority to be. The Visage and the Rubik are heroes I've talked about before here in these videos. They're both high impact, very interesting heroes to see, and I'm sure we'll see a lot of them at TI4. Now the highlights. In February 23rd, 2014, Team Newbee is announced. That means only a few months ago, the team was formed. Like, they're brand new. In March of 2014, Banana transferred to Newbee from IG, Invictus Gaming, and replaced ZSMJ. So starting in April of 2014, San Sheng joined the team and solidifies the final roster we're going to see at TI4. So their final roster was only solidified in April. Very close to when the invitations were sent out. So this is a team that is brand spanking new. A lot of these players, there were a number of players here formerly on Tong Fu, and Newbee is currently participating in the Summit Tournament, among others. But as a new team, they haven't won anything yet. If you check out their compendium information in the compendium in the Dota 2 client, you can see that under achievements, there's nothing listed because they're new. They haven't had time to get anything. It'll be interesting to see how they do at the Summit tournament, as well as some of the other tournaments are participating in leading into TI4, because right now they are a definite wild card. And if we look at the performance graph from the months we actually have performance, we can see in February they went 1-4, not very good, but they only played 5 games, so I mean that's not much to pull from. They went 13-10 in March, 18-5 in April, so their wins have been jumping up. Their losses, kind of staying the same, but I would say that April, if this win rate from April holds steady, or even comes back close to what it was in March, you're still looking at more wins and losses, so it still makes them a pretty competitive team. Their overall win-loss rate, 41 wins to 25 losses, gives them a win rate of 62%, which is right up there. I mean, it's higher than Fnatic. But since they are so new and they played so few games, it's hard to tell whether or not that is going to be consistent over time. So like I said, these guys are new. Most players on the roster are veterans, however. They do have a decent win rate so far, so I would call them a wild card. I have no idea where these guys are going to place, but they can go almost anywhere. Almost anywhere. Hard to see. If they're able to boot camp it and play well together as a team, they can do well, but since they are so new, I think they're at a bit of a disadvantage against teams that have had more time and more experience playing together as a cohesive unit in a competitive scene. I think that does count for something. But we're going to go ahead and kick right into Titan now. Titan is these gentlemen right here. Titan is a Malaysian Dota 2 team. Their joint Dota team ranking is 11th. Team captain Joel Chan Extinct Zhan Leong starts off the roster. He's just a gentleman right here. Following that, we have Lee KYXY Kong Yang, this gentleman right here, rocking the sweet green headphones. Ing Yamate Wei Pong is this gentleman right here, also with a haircut similar to mine right now. And we also have Chong Ohio Zin Ku. And rounding out Titan's roster, Wei Net Pern Lim, this gentleman right here. So, let's take a look at the individual statistics, shall we? Starting with Extinct. Joined Dota rank 63rd, home country of Malaysia. He has 269 wins to 177 losses. This gives him a win rate of 60%. He is their position 5 hard support. And as with the previous 2 teams, if you want to follow Titan, you can at their Twitter account, which is at TitanORG. All one word, at TitanORG, down there in the corner. Keep an eye on it and the other player slides as we get to them. We're going to look at the top tournament picks for Extinct, the Enchantress, the Rubik, the Ancient Apparition. Enchantress, Rubik, we've talked about. Ancient Apparition, as I've mentioned in previous videos, has seen a resurgence into the metagame where he came out of obscurity and has now been picked very rapidly, even getting first pick, first ban sometimes on teams for his high impact ultimate, his ability to farm relatively well, and I think almost more important than any of that, his really early game, low level ganking and killing potential in the right kind of lineup in an aggressive tri-lane. I want to say his ability is Cold Feet, but it enhances magic damage, which if you have a decent number of nukes in your tri-lane means you're going to be able to secure kills, which is one of the reasons he's been so popular in the meta. KYXY comes up next. We have 64th as his join Dota rank. Also from Malaysia. 246 wins to 159 losses gives him a win rate of 61%. He is their position 1 hard carry. His top picks, the Lone Druid, the Invoker, the Ember Spirit. Invoker typically seen as a position 2 mid hero. Ember Spirit seen both directions. You can either play him as a safe lane hard carry, you can play him mid. I personally, having played Ember Spirit, think Ember Spirit is better as a mid hero. I think he's so squishy and so useless if he gets locked down or silenced or anything like that prevents him from doing anything. That he just, I think he's better mid to get early farm, to get early level 6, to begin running around and roaming and ganking and kind of making space for another carry, and being put in a lineup that's going to end the game soon, as opposed to putting him in the safe lane to just sort of AFK hit creeps. I think he's much more impactful in team fights early, but these guys clearly like to run him on a hard carry, so I'll be interested to see what they do with him. The Invoker, similar sort of thing. And the Lone Druid is an excellent sort of hard carry. I think he's usually played or often played off lane, but since he can have up to 12 items, he's a pretty hard late game carry in a lot of ways. Yamate here comes in as our next player. He is at 59th on Join Dota, also from Malaysia. 202 wins to 119 losses gives him a win rate of 63%. He's their position 2 mid. His top tournament picks, the Storm Spirit, the Clinks, and the Viper. Storm Spirit we've talked about. Clinks, interesting hero, usually played off lane, can sometimes be played safe lane depending on how the enemy team is doing things, has good escape mechanism and skeleton walk, strafe and searing arrows can make him push towers down really, really fast, and of course Devour gives him some excellent abilities, eat creeps, get more damage, get more health, all kinds of cool stuff. And the Viper, probably one of the more brutal heroes to have to lane against in the mid lane. He has Nether Toxin for right hitting and harass. He's got Corrosive Skin to make it hard to go on him. He's got all kinds of crazy abilities. His ultimate's really nasty. He's a natural mech carrier. He's very tanky, so you can only make him more tanky, and is, I think, a pretty impactful hero. If not super dramatic to watch, because he's mostly passives and right click. In fact, he's entirely passives and right click, really. Single target stuff, but I think is pretty dramatic in the right lineups. Now, Ohio comes in at 65th on Join Dota. He is from Malaysia. I think the whole team pretty much is from Malaysia. 241 wins to 159 losses gives him a win rate of 60%. He is their position 3 off laner. His top tournament picks, the Nature's Prophet, the Bat Rider, the Elder Titan. Prophet we've talked about. Bat Rider, interesting hero. We've talked about him in previous videos. Excellent in the off lane, can go to the jungle if needed to get farm, can initiate very effectively. In the hands of a really good player is devastating. There's a reason he was first pick, first ban during TI3, and he's been coming back up in the metagame. So we'll see if that sort of starts to happen at the next international. And the Elder Titan, haven't seen a lot of lately, but I don't watch a lot of the Chinese, Southeast Asian scene, so it may be that he's more popular over there than he has been in Europe and North America. But is an interesting hero, very interesting hero. I think he was very, very powerful for a while, and then they kind of nerfed him back a little bit, and hasn't been as popular in the metagame, but can make a lot of stuff happen, and is, in the right lineups, I think, pretty cool to watch. And I think it would be really cool to watch somebody skilled at Elder Titan, just to kind of see what you can do with a hero like that, because his abilities are very unusual and very interesting. Next on Titan here, joined Dota rank of 62nd from Malaysia, 259 wins to 171 losses. Gives Net a 60% win rate. He is their position 4 support. His top picks, the Sand King, the Rubik, the Vengeful Spirit. Sand King is very popular in the Chinese scene, and has become more popular in general, as we've seen in the qualifiers. A hero that I think, having played a bunch recently for my own compendium goals, is interesting, very interesting hero, is really tough to play until he gets up that Blink Dagger and gets a few levels under his belt, but then can really be quite devastating in the hands of a skilled player, unlike myself. Next we have the Vengeful Spirit here, and Vengeful Spirit is a hero I really like. She's got a stun, which is also a nuke. She's got a debuff. She has Vengeance Aura, which increases range damage, and she's got Swap, which gives her all kinds of fun tricks and a lot of God, gives her a lot of versatility in terms of starting team fights, saving people, and now they've rechanged either Swap itself or her Vengeance aura. When you kill the Vengeful Spirit, you get a negative version of her aura, so everybody around you, including you, is taking a penalty to damage. I think it's very thematic and very cool and gives her even more potential to help support the team, even in death. Team highlights. So Titan was formed in September of 2013, so they're also a relatively young team. They picked up former Orange players, Extinct, Net, Ohio, and KYXY, all of whom are still on the team. So Titan is basically Orange with a new player and a different name. They took third in the ACG SEA Invitational 2014, very respectable, but they also took first in the Asian Cyber Games 2013 series, WD Dota 2 Pro Series 1, and joined Dota's League Season 1 Asia. If we look at their performance graph, since September of last year when they were formed, we can see they went 2-4 and then 5-4, 2-6. So they didn't have a really good early year. Then they went 14-10, 0-8. Pretty brutal up through January. But when you start seeing February, March, April, suddenly we're at 18-4, 17-13, and 41-20. So Titan, I think, was playing a very limited number of games, and then all of a sudden in April, they played 61 games in April. So they just kind of exploded into a bunch of tournaments and did very well for themselves. That is an impressive win rate right there. If we look at their trend lines compared, I think we can see the win rate potentially increasing over time. It definitely looks that way from the numbers. And their overall win rate right now, 114 wins to 73 losses, gives them 61% win rate, which is very respectable. Very, very respectable. Now, they're another relatively new team, as I mentioned. They have a decent win rate, as we've mentioned. And since it's been climbing, I think this is a good sign. Now, what's also interesting about them is that a lot of these guys are former Tongfu or possibly Orange players. They have experience going into TI4. Those teams played well at TI3. So even though they're a relatively new team, they have experienced players on them that have played in an international before, so are going to be somewhat familiar with the type of competition they're going to see. Now, I'm not 100% sure how they'll do, but I would think they have a shot at top 6, at the 5th, 6th position at the very least. And finally, wrapping things up, we're going to talk about Invitee Gaming. They're joined Dota rank 3rd worldwide. The roster. Team Captain Lu Fenrir Chow, this gentleman right here, in a pretty baller chair, if I do say so myself. Following that is Liu Sylar Jajun, not that Sylar. Next up, we have Jay, I think that's how you pronounce that, Super Zhuan Hao, this gentleman right here. After him on the team, we have Bai ROTK Fan, this gentleman right here, and that rockin' hairdo. And last but not least, Zhu FY Lin Sen. I believe you pronounce it FY. It might be Phi, but I'm pretty sure it is FY. We're going to look at the details. Fenrir here, the team captain, is their position 4 support. He has a joined Dota rank of 15th from China. I'm pretty sure all of Invitee Gaming is from China, their whole roster. He has 183 wins to 107 losses, giving him a career win rate of 63%. Very respectable. If you want to follow Invitee Gaming on the Twitters, you can at Invitee_gaming. Once again, these guys don't seem to have individual Twitter accounts, but they do have the team Twitter, so check that out there. His top tournament picks, the Visage, the Ancient Apparition, the Chen. Interesting heroes. Next in line, since we've talked about them, I'm going to kind of go ahead and breeze to the next guy. Sylar here has a joined Dota rank of 16th. Home country of China, 235 wins, 133 losses, means his win rate is 64%. He is position 1 hard carry. His top tournament picks, the Gyrocopter, the Weaver, and the Luna. I told you these guys like that. There is a metagame out there right now, and you can tell who the favored picks are for some of these hard carry roles. And these are definitely in the top listing. Super is at 11th on Join Dota. Home country China, 229 wins, 132 losses, gives him a win rate of 63%. He's position 2. That's going to be their mid-roll. His top picks, the Storm Spirit, the Dragon Knight, and the Alchemist. All heroes we talked about, all a lot of fun to watch. ROTK is 12th on Join Dota. Oops. Let's go back one here. I got a little ahead of myself. ROTK is 12th on Join Dota. He is from China. It's a win rate of 63%, which comes from 229 wins to 132 losses. He's their position 3 off laner. his top tournament picks, spoiler alert, the Clockwork, the Nature's Prophet, and the Elder Titan. FY has a joint Dota rank of 14th. He is from China. He has 184 wins to 107 losses, gives him a 63% win rate. He's their position 5 support. His top picks, the Crystal Maiden, the Sand King, and the Rubik. So let's talk about highlights. Invitee Gaming was formed in October of 2012. Their roster was handpicked from those high up on the Chinese Dota ladder. Now, they failed to qualify for TI3 last year. They failed to qualify. They weren't even in the tournament. This led, I think almost directly, to a restructure, as then manager Nada and their executive Panda Panpan left the team. The current roster has been together since October of 2013, and they recently took first place in EMS 1 Fall Season Finals and the Cena Cup Supernova Dota 2 Open Season 2. These tournaments are a mouthful, I'm telling you guys. Let's look at their performance graph over time. As we can see, in August, there's a bit of the restructure, so they played very few games in September. But in the months where they were playing, they have a pretty impressive overall win rate from the looks of things here. Not flawless by any stretch, but definitely pretty solid. So the trend lines seem to be increasing wins, decreasing losses. And I would say that means they've been kind of getting better since that restructuring. If we look at the wins-losses overall, 185 wins, 108 losses gives them a win rate of 63%, which is right up there with the top-tier teams, as it should be. Now, Invitee Gaming is currently ranked 3rd worldwide, and they are 2nd in China, I believe, behind DK. They had an amazing April, going 16-1, which is just outstanding, astonishing gameplay. Their win rate has been increasing over the past 10 months, so I'm going to call it that Invitee Gaming is going to be in the top 3. They are certainly a high contender for it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to wrap up Jandor's International 4 Invitee Primer. I hope you guys enjoyed it, stayed around for all 3 parts. I know they were a bit of a mouthful, but I wanted to give you guys the stats and kind of get into the nitty-gritty beyond what you're going to see in your compendiums. And that's going to be it. Like I said, that's it for the Invitees. Something I mentioned briefly, we talked about the prize pool. Valve pulled a Valve and had a hidden stretch goal. I remember listening to, I think it was Dota On Demand's podcast, and they were talking about how there was this weird jump from where the prize, from the 6 million to the 608 or 6.8 million, which was the next sort of stretch goal after they released the new stretch goals. And since every other one was like 4 million, was every 400,000 is a new stretch goal. Well, there was a hidden one. Techies is getting like an additional sound set and like some funky... None of that matters. What matters is that they are putting techies, Goblin techies, into the game post-International 4. This is something that had been speculated on for a while, but is now effectively confirmed. Oh, Valve, you and your crazy ways of announcing things. Also, check out joindota.com, wiki.teamliquid.net/Dota2, gosugamers.net, and dotabuff.com for more stats, player info. You can check out your compendiums, $9.99 on the Dota 2 store for more info, in-game items, all that fun stuff. And as always, share the videos. Give it to anybody who wants it. Anybody you think might be interested. Share it around. Spread it around. I love it. Like it. Subscribe to my channel. I put new Dota videos out regularly. Put up Civ 5 videos. I'm going to be doing a playthrough of Transistor from Supergiant Games, which I'm working on right now, which is phenomenal, by the way. You should all go get that game because it's amazing. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Twitter at Captain Jandor, and you can also find me on Twitch. I am at twitch.tv/Captain Jandor. I hope you guys enjoyed this series as much as I enjoyed making it for you, and I will catch everyone next time.